Welcome to Brain Vision.
Hi there. So in this problem, we have a function p. So p equals square root of u squared plus v squared plus w squared. Let's start right away by rewriting that as the 1/2 power, since we'll be taking derivatives. We also have u equals x times e to the y, and v equals y e to the x, and w equals e to the xy. Okay. Let's make a little tree diagram for ourselves in the corner, just like the book does. So we have the function p, which depends on u, v, and w, and each of those depends on the two variables x and y. xy, xy, and xy. This will just help us visualize things as we take derivatives. Okay. We also know that x is 0 and y is 2. Okay. And that should be all we need. We will, well, as long as we're at it, let's get u, v, and w. So at this certain point, when x is 0 and y is 2, we can quickly figure out u is going to be 0. V, well, 2 times e to the 0 is 2, and e to the xy is e to the 0, which is 1. So we have our values of u, v, and w at this certain point when we're ready to plug in for those. Okay, so let's begin. The first thing we're asked to find is partial of p with respect to x. So just following our tree diagram, we are going to get, first of all, p goes to u, and u goes to x. In the middle branch, p goes to u, v goes to x. And finally, p goes to w, and w goes to x. That way we haven't missed anything. Okay, and now we plug in as best we can. The partial of p with respect to u. And so let's do this one first. Well, just looking over here at our definition of p, we're going to have 1/2 times everything in there to the negative 1/2 times 2u. That's our partial of p with respect to u. And then partial of u with respect to x, well, we'll just look at our definition of u here. So you can see the partial of that is going to be just e to the y. All right, so we're done with our first term. For the middle term, partial of p with respect to u, with v rather, it's going to look just like our partial of p with respect to u, except it's the v whose derivative we take on the outside. So we end up times 2v instead of 2u. And the partial of v with respect to x. Now let's look. Y would just be a constant, so we end up really with just itself again. And finally, same thing, we'll partial of p with respect to w, 1/2 u squared plus v squared plus w squared to the minus 1/2 times 2w, and partial of w with respect to x. Now, again, if y is a constant, we're going to get y e to the xy from the chain rule. Okay. So, at this point, it's just a matter of plugging in values that we know, and we do know all the values. So, let's just be careful as we plug in. We have 1/2 times, let's see, u is 0, v is 2, 2 squared is 4, w is 1. So 4 and 1, we should be getting a 5 in that parentheses. Okay, good. Times 2, but u is 0, so actually we can stop because this entire first term, whatever we're going to get for u to the y, this whole first term is going to disappear because of this 0 here. Good. So the second term, 1/2, we'll still get 5 in that parentheses, times 2v. Well, v is 2, y is 2 e to the 0. I'll go ahead and write that, even though that'll become 1 very soon. And finally, this last term, again, 1/2, 5 to the negative 1/2, times 2, w equals 1, y equals 2, e to the xy, well, x is 0, so we'll get that. Okay, so we're almost there. What do we have? 1/2. Well, we'll have a lot of canceling here. So the 1/2, one of those 2 goes away. So that 5 to the negative 1/2 is 1 over the square root of 5. We'll have 2 times 2, so it looks like 4 on top. And our last term here, once again, something over the square root of 5. We have a 1/2 times a 2 that cancels, and all that's left is that 2. So, final answer for this one, 6 over the square root of 5. That's partial of p with respect to x. Okay, so now partial of p with respect to y will be much the same. So we'll erase some things, but not too much here, because, all right, everything in blue is going to stay the same, because if we're going down the tree, we still have partial of p with respect to u and v and w. So we'll erase all the arithmetic in our last 2 steps, but not too much else. So let's think about what we're going to change. All that's going to change is that instead of with respect to x, we're going to be with respect to y. So that means that all these x's here will become y's. So partial with respect to y, y, and y. So again, the blue parts do not change. All that change, I'll erase these green parts. Those are all that's going to change. Okay, so partial of u with respect to y. Let's look. So x is like a constant. So we will get x e to the y. Good. Partial of v with respect to y. This time x is the constant there. Good. And then finally, partial of w with respect to y. Well, if x is the constant, then by the chain rule, we get x e to the xy. Okay, and once again, we plug in, but we're used to this. So 1/2, the middle of the parentheses is 5, as it was before, times 2. U is 0 like it was before, so again, whatever that is, this whole thing is going to be 0. You don't have to worry about it. All right, plus 1/2, 5 again, Let's see, 2v was 2, e to the x is e to the 0, so that'll be 1. Finally, 1/2, 5, none of this is any different, times 2, w equals 1, x equals, 0. So this whole term will also disappear. So all that's left is our middle term. So we have that square root of 5 on bottom, just 1/2 and the 2 cancel out. We're left with just a 2 times 1 on top. So our final answer there is 2 over the square root of 5. And we are done. Hopefully this helped.